Very good morning from Auth TV.
Okay.
Today we have a BA webinar on in conversation with Auth Champs. Now I request to start the webinar. Saraf sir.
We'll start with Madhusudan sir.
First of all, I welcome you all. I am really thankful to our IO President, Dr. Shiv Shankar sir, for accepting our invitation. We have known Dr. Shiv Shankar sir for so many years, but every time we meet him, we get to learn something new about him. Dr. Shiv Shankar sir is our president of the Indian Orthopedic Association and source of inspiration for many of us. He started his journey of life from Sagar, Taluka in the state of Karnataka, studying in the government school, and in the midst of all struggle, with his hard work, Dr. Shiv Shankar sir completed his master degree in orthopedics in 1992, and after that, there was no looking back. He has been always associated with various social and academic activities. You all know sir is very active socially, as well as he knows how to benefit orthopedic surgeon from social media. He is the past president of Rotary Club of Solapur, 2002-2003. He has served as a president of NILS 2008-2009. He has served as chairman of the Computer Society of Solapur, 2011 and 2012. Also, he was the president of Maharashtra Orthopedic Association, 2015-2016. Sir has conducted numerous workshops, and he is considered one of the pioneers of the nailing, especially PFM. Today, we will get to know more about him, as his life has not been so easy, and I am sure his journey of life will motivate many of us to do and achieve more from the life. Thank you. I request our President, sir, President of the BOA, Dr. Sen Saraf sir, to say a few words.
Thank you, Madhusudan ji. Good afternoon. On behalf of Bihar Orthopedic Association, I feel honored and privileged to welcome you all. Friends, behind every success story is endless effort, setbacks, or some radical changes in direction and whatnot. Here is the presenting inspiring story of Dr. B. Siva Shankar, who is our President IOA. Wonderful instrument in orthopedic surgery. He has also 700 workshops and live demonstration all over country. And he has more than 400 surgical videos on YouTube, which can benefit our inspiring or budding orthopedic surgeon. Not only this, there is also different side of Siva Shankar, which is very fascinating, that is his love for tracking. He's going to share his wonderful experience about his tracking, and also with us. We can draw inspiration from his stories and learn how to be determined, committed, and consistent toward our goal. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being here, sir. Thank you.
In full screen now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. This I've been going almost every yearly except 1 or 2 years in between. I have gone for high altitude trekking to Roopkund, Kshitidhar, Chamser Kangri, Adi Kailash, Om Parvat, Mansarovar, Gangotri, Yamunotri, so many places I have gone. Just to give an idea, Mahabaleshwar is at 4,700 feet. Kalsubai, the highest peak in Maharashtra, is at 5,400 feet. South India, the highest peak is 8,842 peak, that is Annamudi. And Ooty and Kodaikanal are between 6,000 to 8,000 feet. So these are all the height. But what is that high altitude trekking? High altitude trekking is anything beyond 8,000 feet to 13,000 feet. So this is only possible in India in Himalaya. Very high altitude is between 13,000 to 18,000 feet. And extremely high altitude is beyond 18,000 feet. So I have reached extremely high altitude is beyond 18,000 feet, and I have done at least about 7-8 times. I have gone beyond 18,000 feet, which I'll be showing in my presentation. So this slide will give an idea that we can do high altitude trekking, very high altitude trekking, and extremely high trekking only in Himalaya. There is nowhere we can do in other parts of India. This is a group of all senior doctors. I am the youngest of them. Dr. Zamre is a physician. Dr. Akalwade is a general surgeon. Dr. Dharmaraj Kalaj is an ophthalmologist. Dr. Yajurved is a pediatrician. Pramod Kulkarni is a pediatrician, and myself, orthopedic surgeon. And we also have Dr. Basraj Kolor, a nephrologist. This is our group. We keep going almost every year to some part in Himalaya. I was introduced to this group for the first time in 2008, where this is our leader is Dr. Mr. Anit Shah. He has submitted Everest when he was just 13 years old. So he has a professional trekking and hiking company in Delhi. We go there, and from there they will take care of us. For the first time, as I said, I reached Kshitidhar. That is at 18,300 feet height. So this is on top of mountain Kshitidhar. Then we went to Kailas Mansarovar, which is at 16,200 feet. Then we went to Lahul and Spiti and Chandratal. Then Hamta Valley Trek and Setan Dome in 2016 we did. Then Gomukh and Tapovan. Gomukh is just beyond Gangotri, and Tapovan is another still higher up. Then recently, as soon as the trekking opened last October, in the later half of October, November 20, during this Corona time only, we went to Kedarkantha trekking. So about trekking, why trekking? Trekking is an hobby or a passion. More than that, it is just an addiction. You like to go, that's all. There is no reason for that. It is nearer to the nature, away from all luxuries of life. Solitude, stay under the skies in night, in tents, no mobile network. You get time for yourself, full time with your friends, get time for introspection also. You are relaxed. There is no stress and stress of the hospital. So many things happen. So basically, you can call it as a lifestyle, hobby or fashion, or even a sport. But ultimately, the experience that you gain through these mysterious mountains is unfathomable. Really, you don't expect anything, but you learn so many things there. They have something in great store for every one of us who become part of them to scale them. So we learn so many things. We see so many animals, birds, so many varieties we do, so many plants, trees, varieties we get to learn. Basically, as I said, it's an addiction to visit mountain. You can call it as mountain calling. So this is about the basic of trekking. What are the advantages of trekking? It's basically to stress the body, to endure in turn to increase physical and mental fitness. You can see at different times I'm carrying 15 to 20 kgs of weight on my back. So that is fun. This is recently, when I went to Kedarkantha this recently, I just picked up the computer audio where it is disable audio. No. Okay, computer audio, I don't think it is. Shamsul, how to start the computer audio? I cannot see. Clear sound. Okay.
You can play the video, the audio will go automatically.
No. Now, can you hear something?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So this is recently when I went in October to Kedarkantha, you can see I'm carrying about 22 kgs of weight on my back. This is to stress ourselves to the limit. So that helps the body in a great way in future. Then to explore remote trails to enjoy nature where there is no other alternate way. So to see Trishul like this, you have to walk. There is no road for there. So you have to trek. To meet amazing people, work and interact with them, improves interpersonal relationship. You also learn leadership skills. So if you see many of the IT companies, many of the young generation or professional people, they keep taking their team to trekking only because this is something which improves team activity, leadership skill, it increases. It's very, very useful. So we all took our luggage because when we went to Chitidar, this is a place even Kachar and Goda will not reach. So we have to take the luggage ourselves only. We took all our luggage up. We pitched our tent ourselves. We learned the technique of how to pitch a tent. Everything we did on our own. And we also meet beautiful people, and from them we learn a lot. This is Mr. Mrudul Sharma from one of the bank employee from Mumbai. I learned about GPS at that time. I used to call him as GPS Mrudul. The reason is he taught me how to tag a place, how to tag Chitidar, how to make a route on the GPS. So many things we learned together. And this another person is from a Deutsche Bank in again working in Mumbai. We interact with so many people and we become a family, one family. As I said, this is Mr. Anit Shah, our trekking leader. And when he got married about 7-8 years back, all of us went for his marriage. We went and stayed there in Delhi for 3 days for marriage, and then we went for his reception in Nainital. I have never spent 7 days or any of my relatives' marriage. So this is what happens. We become one family at the end, being together at such remote places. As I said earlier, mountain calling. Whenever somebody in our group asks, shall we go for trekking? All of us immediately say yes. When? We don't ask, none of us will say no. So this is something which will always have the affinity towards the mountain. When you are in the mountains, all your problems somehow feel smaller. Your life slows down a bit. You get more time to think about you and yourself, and you are wary of everything. You are aware of everything, what you are doing there. When you spend some time with them, you get an urge to go back. So when I go and learn to live in the mountain for 7-8 days or 10 days, it becomes a hobby initially, then it becomes an addiction. So this is the reason why we keep going back. It makes trekking also makes us resilient and positive. See, these are the moraines, loose things which are there. So we have to cross over that. This is a molten ice, cold water, -5, -6 degrees centigrade. Through that, we had to walk. And these are all something which is not very, very easy. Some of the time, there is no roads only. It's so slippery. Such a deep valley on the other side, crossing cold water. So trekking is anything but easy. Don't think this it is a 5-star hobby. No, it's very, very rude hobby. You have to be expecting your body to be stressed totally. Long ascents, waking up at early hours in the morning, beating the cold, not listening to the body and controlling your mind can be the most exhausting and the hardest thing that you can do. They test your in many ways that you cannot be, it's very difficult to describe them. These things that going to Yamunotri is very, very easy, but this Yamunotri road was all blocked and there was a landslide. Such a bad road we had to walk, and it's very, very difficult to walk. You can see that this is what is breaking. So it's not always very, very easy when the road we travel is many times very arduous. When you go and reach some of the place where it is really beautiful, like this mirror image, Chandratal Lake in Lahul and Spiti, reflection in Chandratal Lake. Friends, when we go and see there, and especially if we see some 5-star chocolate covers or some beer bottle there, we really feel pity, and we ourselves, many a time, we carry back dirt and thrown by the people. But there are some beautiful places now, and it helps us to everybody to protect environment. So I wish all the India should go and do some trekking to some of these places in the Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand and northeast places, so that they will learn the technique of how to protect the environment. So they can come back and they stop spitting on the roads, and those things can be done. So this is the advantage of going to trekking. And this is the Kshitidhar I had submitted in 2009. Trekking and hiking will make you definitely more positive. If you have negative thoughts about climbing a mountain, it's probably a one-way ticket to failure. Telling yourself that you cannot do or it is impossible, it don't help you in any way. If you are always positive, even if the climb is impossible at the moment, you will try to continue. Let me try. This is what the trekking will help you. Then reaching your climb at the destination or summiting a peak is actually not summiting the peak or conquering the mountain, but it is actually conquering your own mind and body. Conquering over negative thoughts like impossible, difficult, I cannot do at the age of 56. I cannot say like this. So we keep trying. So this is what the advantage of doing trekking. Definitely, the climate in Himalaya is ever changing. It changes in a heartbeat. So it keeps you prepared for a change. Suddenly there is cloud, suddenly there is wind, suddenly there is chill, suddenly there is warm. So you have to be very resilient and adjust to the nature. See, here when I went in 2008 to Rupkund, suddenly there was a snowstorm. Literally, we ran down 23 kilometers down and we reached Gairuli Patil. That day I had started trekking in the morning at 4 o'clock, and evening when we ran down and reached Gairuli Patil at 7,000 feet, we had covered 23 kilometers distance, because otherwise we would have got caught in the snowstorm. We learned new things also. When we went to Beit Bugyal in the morning, the water was flowing. But due to snowstorm, when I was returning back, our leader said, Dr. Saab, this flowing water freezes means it's minus 10 degree. So at 12,500 feet, it is flowing water has frozen. So every 100 degree, there is 1 degree reduction in the temperature. So 13,500 feet minus 20, at 16,500 feet, 55,000. I was there in the morning at 7 o'clock at 16,500 when the snowstorm happened. If I had not come back down, if I had not run back, I would have got stuck in that snow at minus 55 degrees centigrade. So these all things we learn. Also, when you climb up, pressure becomes less. Water boils at 100 degrees centigrade at sea level. In Patna, it boils at 96 degrees centigrade. In Sholapur, it boils at 97 degrees centigrade. When it is 18,000 feet height, it starts boiling at 80 degrees only. Means when you are cooking rice, the rice will not get cooked because water is not reaching 100 degrees centigrade only. It only reaches up to 80 degrees centigrade at a less air or higher altitude. That is the reason why we have to use cooker when we go for trekking. Similarly, it takes a lot of time to cook dal. That's why we carry this roasted moong dal with us. We make rice and khichdi out of this, which is very, very healthy and also tasty. So we learn so many new things. Even I learned how to use the gaiters, how to use the spikes, how to use the pickaxe, how to use the... I'm walking on snow. This is a very huge slipper. It is a slipper. So how to walk without, otherwise I'll be stepping on my own feet, other feet. So learning that is also very, very important. So many things we learn. So the most important is when you're traveling, instead of the destiny, the traveling.
छोटा हुआ अजाइब लेफ्ट साइड HP06
You're away from all the luxuries of your life. So it's all the basic needs what we see. We are not even having table to sit. We are just eating on the roadside. So our requirements become less and less. We are all here waiting for a cup of tea as soon as we came back from trekking. Such a cold wind. Just for the tea getting prepared, we are all waiting. Even such small tea becomes a luxury there, and we start appreciating the usefulness of that. I am sure many have learned now appreciating so many simple things in our life are due to this corona pandemic, which we are not doing appreciating earlier. Our requirement is not big bungalow or a AC. It's a small tent just to cover us from the wind outside protective cold air. So we are away from the luxuries of life. We definitely have regular food. The body gets tired because of trekking and walking. We do get good sleep there. There is no disturbance either by the mobile network or from your hospital. So many advantages. And another important thing is you get time to enjoy you with your own close friends. They have so many things in your life to share. The way I am sharing my life experience today, similarly, all these people have their own life experience, their own way of looking at the problem in a different way. They will give tips for investment. They will tips to run your hospital. So many things we learn. So at the end, we learn a lot. These are some of the advantages of going for trekking. Are you with me? I cannot hear it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We
Yeah.
are listening.
Yes, sir, there's a pin drop silence.
Yeah, that's what. Okay. So now let me take through the details of each and every trekking. As I said, it's an addiction. Abhishek was asking when I did my first trekking. Yes, this is my first trekking with my family in 2007. I went to Solang Valley with my family and I really enjoyed being in the mountain. When the opportunity to join my other fellows in 2008 came, I immediately hopped onto the wagon. And Roopkund is at the base of Trishul mountain, which you are seeing. We have to trek for about 45 kilometers. So we trekked on the first day 15 kilometers. Next day we trekked for another 15 kilometers and came to Bedni Bugyal. Then third day from Bedni Bugyal, we went up to 14,500 feet through different mountainous walking roads. And these are all the alpine tents in which we stayed. Then sixth day, we came to Keluvinayak. Then on seventh day, we started doing the trekking for our Roopkund. But en route, this is the nearest I've gone. Suddenly, as I said earlier, there was snowstorm and we had to abandon going to the Roopkund and come back from there. I was just about 1 kilometer from the Roopkund. So I had trekked 44 kilometers, but the 45th kilometer I couldn't do because of the weather, bad weather. Why Roopkund is famous? Roopkund has lot of about 400 human skeletons. If you see the length of the femur, they are about 50 centimeter. Human beings have normally about 40 to 45 centimeter femur. So if 50 centimeter means the person has to be at least 7.5 feet tall. And as you all know, mountain area, the people are very short, 5 to 5.5 feet only. So where this skull, where these people have come, what happened, that's still a mystery. But many think that they are all from the people who came from Afghanistan. They were trying to cross to China. Because of the hailstorm, they got stuck there. The skull there have huge holes. Probably they say that a football-like hailstorm might have happened and they have died. So as I said earlier, we had reached Keluvinayak. From Keluvinayak, we came up to next point. The last part, I was just about 1 kilometer from Roopkund, but our weather became very, very bad. Snowstorm happened. So we immediately ran back to, literally we ran back and we finished the trekking. So this is about our Roopkund trekking. Next year, we went to a group of trekking people, there were about 16 people. We were 6 doctors who went as doctors to the group. And that was to summit Kshitidhar. So there was moraine. Moraine is all the three side it is covered with mountain. The opening is covered with loose stones. So on these loose stones, Kachar or Goda will not go. So we had to carry our own luggage. And as you can see, we had to cross the Beas River, which was very, very cold. This is Beas Kund, where the Beas River starts. Those who have visited Manali, they know that Beas River passes next to Manali. And we are here next to Beas Kund. We pitched our tent next to Beas Kund here. And that was at around 12,000 feet height. Then evening used to be very, very cold. Evening used to be -5 to -10 degrees centigrade. Every day we used to take some of our luggage, and we used to keep it at higher altitude. We did camp at 14,000 feet. Every day we used to take our luggage and erect that next camp. We used to get acclimatized also. We started walking on the snow. We learned how to walk on the snow, how to use the snow axe. From camp 1, same thing we did. Over 3 days time, we took our luggage, went to the next camp. This is our summit camp. That is at 15,000 feet height. From summit camp, we did the summit in 2 days. On the day of my summit, I got up in the morning at 3 in the morning. At 3 a.m., I'm getting ready. It was very difficult to bend to tie the loose shoelace also. Somebody is assisting me. I started very early. I was the first person to start, and you can see from a distance. And as and when the day advanced, I gradually become so much tired, because I was comparatively, the group was all about 35 plus, 30 to 35 year old. I was already 45 years old at that time, 45, 48 or something. So I became somebody here. So this is me. So though I was first in the morning, but while reaching, I was the last but one to reach on the top. And always not to look at the whole mountain, take one piece at a time. So if you look toward the peak, it looks very far off. So I used to tell, let me go another 100 meters, let me go another 200 meters, like that. We used to, and the steep, you can see such a vertical steep. It's not easy to go. So it has a very I went inside the snow. When I started wriggling, I went still further down into the snow. Then 2 people came, my guide came, and he literally tied a rope on my chest. Then he pulled me out. He said that if we lose you, if the snow is loose down and if you go somewhere, we cannot know. You can see the thread. So he literally tied me to the rope and he pulled me out. So this is something we learned. And finally, we reached the Kshitidhar summit. These are the Ladakhi, Manali and Kshitidhar. I am on top of the Kshitidhar, which is at 13,500 feet. While coming down was much more difficult because of the sun. The snow had molten and it was become fluffy. It was very difficult to walk. So literally we, like sliding, we slide down, and this is our group. Only 2 of us could complete. All the other people couldn't do that. Next year, I went for trekking in the Ladakh, Chamser Kangri. Chamser Kangri is at 21,700 feet. So Tangla Pass we passed. Then we also passed the Rohtang Pass. That is the highest motorable road in the world at 18,380 feet at Rohtang Pass. Then from there, these are some of the roads we traveled. And this is Sao Mori Lake, where nearby we camped on that day. Next day we went another 2,000 feet. We made our tent in 17,500 feet height. These are all the beautiful sunset views or sunrise morning we could see from such a clear sky. This is our camping, final ascent camp at 17,600 feet. This is where we stayed for 3 days. And first day, one batch went and submitted to the top and came. Next day I went, but I couldn't complete. To tell frankly, I was around 19,500 feet. It was too much. It was too much taxing. And already I had spent 6 hours walking, and I had only covered 1/3 the distance. I knew that it is not possible for me. So from around 19,500 feet, I came back. But other people, those who were young, they really went and came back. Beautiful Leh Ladakh scenario you can see. While coming back at Rohtang Pass, there was a accident and the road was closed. Literally for 36 hours, we were only on the road with using whatever the little food we had in our vehicle. Then in 2012, I went to Adi Kailash, and this is the one of the most difficult trek I have done. Majority of my colleagues, though they had planned to come, one had fever, another had some family problem, and so finally only 2 of us went. So other people from Nainital joined, that our trekking leaders, relatives all joined from Nainital. So we went to Darchula. Though we had applied for a permit online, that the collector office was not having even a computer there. So we went and applied again and got the permission. Then our plan was to start from Darchula and go up to Mangti Nala. Mangti Nala is the place where till there the vehicle can go. From there to trek. Unfortunately, there was landslide there. That road was closed, and we could only go up to, from Darchula, we could only go up to Narayan Ashram. So we had to trek additional 45 kilometers to reach this Mangti Nala. So this is
वो तो ऐसे रुक के आ रहा है जैसे साला वो पैदल आ रहा होगा बताओ।
then reach Narayan Ashram. Here I'm making puris. Then aloo sabji puri, and these are the common staple diet over there. Then we started our trekking, kept our luggages ready for the horses to take. But unfortunately, the luggage didn't come to us on that day. There was some problem with the horse people. And these are all the roads we trekked, different places. From Narayan Ashram, we went to 10,500 feet, came to Sirkat, 8,000 feet, Ramling Top, 11,000, Sinkola, where we stayed overnight. So from Narayan Ashram to Sinkola, it's totally 23 kilometers. I had trekked from morning 9 o'clock to 7 in the night. As I said, our bag didn't come. These are the only little cloth, whatever I was carrying in my backpack. This was our hotel. These are all the basic rooms where we stay. And next day morning, after having our breakfast, we started the trekking. You can see landslide. Because of that, all the roads were bad. Then we came to Gala. Gala is a place where at least the roads, you can call it as a 6-lane or 8-lane road. So for trekking, this is a very luxury to have such a good road. And literally we were on cloud 9, because you can see clouds are all forming on the valley, and the clouds are rising gradually from the water. That is the Kali River down. Then there was a steep downward 4-kilometer trek. There are 4,444 steps. We have to go from Jipti to this, what you call Malpa. Malpa is the place where Pratima Bedi, the actor Kiran Bedi's wife, died because of the landslide which happened and the gushing of the water from Kali River, which washed away about 450 people in 1996-97. So that night we stayed with the army people, border security people. Then next day after breakfast, we started our trekking. You can see this is all Kali River and so this is the Kali River, which separates India with Nepal. What you can see on the other side is the Nepal, and we are on the Indian side. So it's very furious river, and the road is also not, while trekking is not always clean, because many of the animals also pass through that. So it's slippery wherever they have the dung cake is there. And you can see because of the it's such a slippery road because of the rain and other things. We crossed again from Malpa. We had come down from Jipti to Malpa. Again from Malpa, we had to climb up again. So we climbed again almost 4,400 steps. Again, we reached Chia Lake Pass. But this time is not exactly steps, but it is a gradual climb. Chia Lake Pass is another valley of flowers. In Himalaya, there are so many valley of flowers. This is one of the valley of flowers, beautiful flowers, but we were there at the end of the season. So the blooming was over. They were all old flowers where you can see. Again, wherever we used to get some small hotels, we used to have tea or coffee, warm thing to keep ourselves warm. Then at night, we used to, this is our hotel in Garbyang, where we used to sleep in the tents. Next day morning, we started the trekking from Jipti beyond Garbyang. They're making the roads from China side. They're making the roads. So from Gunji, there is already there is a big road which is being done. Probably in few years time, we can drive from Pithoragarh directly to this instead of trekking. So what I did was 146 kilometer one-way trekking. Now probably it has reduced by about 30 kilometers now if you go this year, and in few years time it will be much more less. So in the evening, to keep ourselves occupied, again, don't go and sleep in the as soon as you reach your destination. Keep yourself awake, get acclimatized, go another few hundred meters up, down, then only go to the sleep. Otherwise, body getting acclimatized to less oxygen is very, very difficult. Then next day we started the trekking. Again, this is Jappu. It's a cross between yak and cow. Yak lives above 16,000 feet. Cow lives below 8,000 feet. So between 8 to 16,000 feet, you have this Jappu, which is a cross. This is a selfie I've taken in a regular camera, even before the selfie word was coined at that time. This is where my digital camera, without looking at just looking at the lens, I've taken the picture. Then we came to a place called Kuti. Kuti is a beautiful carvings. These are all 200, 300-year-old houses, because this is all the trade silk route of India. The masala and spices and silk were all traded. This only during summer these people will come and stay in these beautiful houses. Unfortunately, that night this person though he's from Dehradun, he had mountain sickness. He didn't get the sleep. His heart rate was fast. His breathing was fast. Luckily, we had one extra Goda with us. We sent him back. So recently, when I went, that is the relation we get. Recently, when I went to Kedarkantha, he met me in Dehradun. After returning back from Kedarkantha, again he met me back. So this is the, when we go in solitude and we spend time in mountains, so we get so much attached to one person. So just having met him for 2-3 days in the earlier one, this made this friendship. He is a lawyer working in Dehradun now. Then from Kuti to Jolingkong, the next day we started the trekking. Again, as the height advances, there is no trees. It's all only barren land. Trees disappear at around 10 to 11,000 feet height. So here I am at 15,280 feet height. This is the first view of Adi Kailash or Chota Kailash. So this is a good view I got in the afternoon. This is around 16,000 feet I have gone. Then there was a lot of cloud, wind. This is the best picture I could get. Almost I spent 4 hours there taking so many pictures, and just seeing this mountain itself in a solitude, nothing, nobody around you, that itself was a different experience. They have done a new small Parvati Tal nearby. Then Gauri Kund also they have done. Actually, I went in the evening, again still started trekking. This is Adi Kailash mountain. But when I went there, because of the cloud, I couldn't see. Once I reached beyond the cloud, I could see the Adi Kailash mountain. You can see, this is the area what I'm seeing. From a distance only, it looks nice. From down, it was not that good. But the highest I reached in this trekking was 16,600 feet height. Then we came back to Gunji, where all coming back. Coming down is not a problem, only walking up is always a very difficult task. So while you are going up, it's very, very difficult. Each step requires a lot of your energy, and Even taking out a bottle of water from your bag and drinking is difficult. That's why we carry this special bottle with a tube. You just pull out the tube and start drinking. It's like a Eurosac water bottle. So you just fill 2 liters of water and just keep on sipping it. The best way is because outside temperature is all cold. You will not feel thirsty. The most of the time, the problem, altitude problem is due to dehydration, which we will not realize because outside temperature is cold. So best way is to see at your pee. When you urinate, your urine should be white in color. That indicates that you are adequately saturated, or water in the body is adequate. This is a major in that area. There is a lot of army people. He invited us for breakfast the next day. Then we went to Kalapani. Kalapani is the place where the Kali River starts. So this is the place where Kali River starts. From there, we went to a place called Nabidang. Nabidang is the last village, which is just 4 kilometers from China border. And from there, normally we see the Om Parvat. So luckily, when we were there, it started raining there and the mountain became clearer. The Om Parvat we could see. When there is ice or snow, this Om will be looking like that. But because we went at the end of the season, it was in October we had gone. That's why we didn't see a lot of ice there. But Om Parvat, at least we could see so clearly. So this is me in front of Om Parvat. And beyond Om Parvat is the China. The Om Parvat is in India, but just beyond that mountain is China. Then we came back to Malpa and we stayed in the guest house. Normally, snakes are not there beyond 6,000 feet, but here at 9,000 feet, I could see a viper. That's why I taken the picture. Then again, whatever we had decided, it was raining. Again, as I said, from Malpa, we had to climb up to the Jipti, 4,444 steps. Then while going, because of the road closure, we had come from the Narayan Ashram. But this time we said, anyway, we had done all this trekking. We are all now energized. We decided to walk along this road only. And our vehicles, our Godas were from Narayan Ashram. So our luggage went to Narayan Ashram and we started walking on this road. That road, because of the, as I said, because of the landslide, that road was closed for the jeep and other things. Stones were still falling. You can see because of this landslide, the road was closed. We crossed this area. These are some of the people we met, and it rained so heavily on that day. Luckily, we got last 20 kilometers. We got a ride in the army jeep, army van, which was going. Even that army van was going just about 2 to 3 kilometers per hour speed. Because it was so slush, there was water flowing on the road, gush of water because of the rain. It started raining so heavily on that day that even the vehicle was going at such a slow pace. And next day paper, Tal, Munshiyar, Tanakpur, Purnagiri, Samet, Kai Marg Band, Badal Fatne se ab tak 53 ke maut. In the same district of Pithoragarh, 53 people died because of the rain on the previous day. We were lucky to run away just in time. Unfortunately, the road to Narayan Ashram, where our luggage had come, was washed away. Our luggage did not come. So I reached Delhi. From Delhi, I went to Udaipur for NailsCon. With just 2 dresses which I had kept in Delhi, I went to Udaipur. After NailsCon, again went to Delhi because the flight was via Delhi. That time my luggage came back to Delhi and I picked up my trekking luggage and came back to Sholapur. In 2015, we went to Spiti Valley, Sangla Valley and Baspa Valley. This is Rohtang Pass. In the month of August, September, when there is no snow, then we had to go through very bad roads. Himalayan mountain area, we should travel as early as possible in the morning, because once the sun rises up, the temperature increases, snow starts melting, and water level in all these rivulets and streams increases, giving trouble. So finally, we reached our campsite about 5 kilometers from Chandratal Lake. And it's a good thing that Himachal Pradesh has started no camping near water bodies within 5 kilometers. Otherwise, we misuse being around that and we spoil that area. So it's a really good thing they have started, and I wish it is made applicable to all the water bodies, especially in Uttarakhand and northeastern places similarly. In the evening, we went to Chandratal for trek and came back, and the next day also we went. So this is going from our tents to the Chandratal Lake. These are the mirror images of the Chandratal. You can see such a beautiful nature, mirror-like picture in the Chandratal Lake. I also met Dr. P.R. Kulkarni, an orthopedic surgeon from Kolhapur. He had come there for cycling along with a group of Canadian cyclists. The nature is very varied here. One can see the vertical stone formation due to tectonic plates. As we all know that Himalaya is rising and the Eurasian plate collided and causing this gradual rise, and that is one of the reasons why you can see the stones vertically looking in this picture. Then we went to a place called Kibber. Kibber is the highest village in the world at around 14,200 feet height, where people live all throughout the year, all the 12 months. Nowhere in the world people in such a high altitude live all the 12 months. They normally come down during cold winter, but this is the only place where at 4,205 meters, they live all throughout the year in the same village. So there are again Kibber monasteries there. We visited the monastery. Then we came to, while going towards Samdo, we came to Tabo Monastery. The roads are being constructed, so there is a lot of road blockages one should expect.
छोटा अम्बा मोड़ पर हॉर्न बजाए लेफ्ट साइड
The destination, which is very, very important. Then we came to a place called Nako. Nako village is at around 14,000 feet height, and this is the place where the shooting of Incredible India has happened. This is the promotion of India in the international market as Incredible India. So this is a very beautiful place where you could see a lot of green peas also at that high altitude, and we relished eating fresh kacha green peas. So this is on the left, you can see the green peas field. Then next day we came to a place called Samdo. Samdo is a place where we traveled all along the Spiti River and came where Spiti River joined the Sutlej River. So this is at Samdo. And from Samdo, actually, the mountain, what you can see is just beyond that is China. It's about 4 to 5 kilometers only the China border is there. And actually from here, Kailas Mansarovar Yatra is very, very nearby. But unfortunately, this route is not open for people to cross from India to China. So the earlier one I showed from the Pithoragarh, that is from Darchula, we went via the Kalapani, seeing the Chota Kailas and Om Parvat. That is the first route. Then the second route is one can fly to Kathmandu. Kathmandu, you can go again via China, Nyalam Saga. That is another route. Recently, about 5-6 years back, Nathula from Sikkim, it has been opened. From there also you can reach. But the most nearer one to Kailas Mansarovar is from Himachal Pradesh, actually from Samdo. But this route is not open for traveling by us. So this is at Samdo. This is the bridge over the Sutlej River. Then from Samdo, we went to Baspa Valley, one of the beautiful place. Again, that is at around 15,000 feet. We went to the last village, that is Chitkul, and there is a temple with a lot of wooden work done. Then 2016, we went for trekking in snow during the month of February. Again, our team from Sholapur, all doctors. This is when we went for acclimatization trek at Manali. We went to the top of Manali. Then we came to a place called Setan, and this is the room where we stayed for the next few days, practiced walking with the special boot to increase the surface area so that we don't go inside the snow. So this practice we did, and it snowed heavily, and one of the days I stayed there actually for the third day. And really night from morning, when we got up, we could see at 4 o'clock the snow, and it evening, it about 4 to 5 in the evening, it was snowing. We did do some trekking in the snow also. And this is from our hotel room, the view. Almost about 2 feet of snowfall had happened on that day. Then we went, once the snowfall became less in the evening, we went again and enjoyed in the fresh snow.
हमें बुलावा आया है
Sorry, sir. Then next day, actually the trees which are all covered by snow, they look much more better once the snow becomes little less and the sun, because of the sunshine, so some of the snow falls off. So it really pictures cute, like Switzerland. We were going in the fresh snow. We trekked the whole day, and we went to the Amta Valley, which was about 9 kilometers from our hotel, that last point. There is a hydroelectric dam at that area. We reached up to that place and we returned back. So you can see that there is a lot of fresh snow on which we enjoyed. Next day we went to a place called Setan Dome, which is around 14,000 feet height. It's a small hillock covered with snow. As we had practiced on the snow with our special shoe slip-on. So we tested using them and practical, we practical use.
मूवी बन गई, कैसा लग रहा है?
Basically, this increases the surface area on which we are standing, so we will not go down within the snow. That is the advantage of this using this. Our leader was not wearing it. You can see that he went inside the snow because of his surface area was less and he was wearing only the shoes. We completed and happily we came back from Setan Dome. Then in 2008, we went to Gomukh and Tapovan. Tapovan is just about 10 to 15 kilometers beyond Gangotri. So we had to go to Gomukh first. From Gomukh, we had to trek upwards. Again, these are some of the pictures taken during that time. This is the Gangotri shrine in Gangotri. Till Gangotri, we can drive or come by car or jeep. Then from here, we had to walk through the Gangotri National Park to Gomukh and then on to Tapovan. Last year, after the lockdown, when Uttarakhand opened up tourism on 15th of October, we immediately decided to go for Kedarkantha summiting. We went around 23rd of October from here. First, we went to Dehradun. From there, we went to Yamunotri. Again, reaching the Yamunotri shrine, the last 5.5 kilometers, you had to walk. Then from there, we came to place which is called as Kedarkantha, which is Harkidun, in the route of Harkidun, which is very famous. Though the trek is not very much, it's almost about 9 to 10 kilometers, but the height we gain is too much. It's almost we gain a altitude of 2000 meters in under 9 kilometers. It's equivalent to climbing 7 times the Eiffel Tower. Of course, we did it in 2.5 days. That is different. Because of acclimatization, we should not go suddenly beyond 8,000 feet. It is always better to go 1,000 feet per day unless you are an expert. This is coming to the top. The view from the top of Kedarkantha is beautiful because you can see 360-degree Himalaya, especially during the time when it is snowing.
Enjoy the nature.
One has to really, one can see all the snow-clad mountains all around 360 degrees from this place. So that is the reason why with a short trek, one can see the real Himalaya. This Kedarkantha trekking is very famous. Friends, the last one, though I did it in 2010, I kept it intentionally as the last one because of there are so many things to see in this Kailas Mansarovar trip. So this is the friendship bridge between Nepal and China. Then once we were on the China side, there were Land Rovers waiting. That was the time in 2010, the roads were not still done properly. It was all through the sand dunes we had to drive. But now there are beautiful highways which are available, and there are 40-seater buses which carry nowadays from once you reach the China side. So from early morning, we started at 3 o'clock from Kathmandu and reached a place called Kodari, which is between China and Nepal. And once the immigration clearance is done, we went in their jeep and we went to a place called Nalam. So morning, we were at 3,000 feet at Kathmandu, and evening, we were at 12,500 feet. As I said earlier, acclimatization is very, very important, especially beyond 8,000 feet. So we decided to stay there for one more extra day, and we did some acclimatization trek before carrying our journey from Nalam to Saga. Again, as I said, it's basically it's Registan or sand dunes on which we had to go. We had about 18 plus 18, 36 vehicle in our group totally, and every now and then one or the other vehicle used to have breakdown, but all the drivers used to come together and help and fix them. My own vehicle had a axle breakdown, and I could see one of our wheels going in front of us running. I was just thinking which vehicle is going, which wheel is going like that. Then I realized that it is our vehicle only. Because of the sand, we didn't realize, or we didn't have had a major accident. This is a bridge on Brahmaputra river at Saga. There are 4 important rivers which starts from Brahmaputra, this Mansarovar, Indus and Indus River, or the Sindhu River and Sutlej River, which go towards west, and towards east Brahmaputra river and another river which goes in China. There are 4 rivers which starts from Mansarovar. So this is a Lake Pikito. Again, you can enjoy the real sand dunes. At last we reached Mansarovar, which is around 16,000 feet height. We had a holy dip, and just in front of Mansarovar is the Kailas mountain. And we all did puja standing in ice cold water. The temperature of the water should be around -5 or -4. So such a cold water. Then at night we used to sit and do bhajans using the mobiles songs. We used to do from 10 o'clock to 2 o'clock. And we also did some puja. We had the priest along with us in our group. One thing I want to share, which I really wanted, though it was incidental, there was a story saying that God and goddesses come to take holy dip in Mansarovar on the new moon day. Though that time when I went, new moon day was falling on 2 days. So we decided to stay on the bank of Mansarovar on both the days. First day nothing happened, and second day suddenly people started calling, come, come, come. I went there. When I saw really, I could see gradually the stars which are going down. Suddenly they pick up speed, and as if they are going inside the water and coming up, they come up, and again they become slow and stand still at that time. So in about 15 minutes, because it was very cold outside, so in about 15 minutes I could see about 3 stars, but it was very difficult to capture on my camera. So I'm showing this animation what I saw. So whatever it is the reason, but I really saw stars which are gradually coming down. Suddenly they pick up speed, and again as if they're taking a dip in the water and they come up. So I enjoyed that. Then next day we did the parikrama around Mansarovar. The Mansarovar is supposed to be the holy lake which is on the right side here, and on the left side there is a Rakshastal. But if you see, the water from Kailas actually reaches more Rakshastal, and the water or the snow, molten snow from Guru Mandata, which is just opposite to that, comes and reaches Mansarovar, and both of them are also interconnected by a small channel. So anyway, for Hindus, the holy Mansarovar is very, very holy. So we did the parikrama in the vehicle only, which is about 85 kilometers. It took almost about 4 hours to complete the parikrama around the Mansarovar. Then from the place where we were staying, Darchan, this is the view of the Kailas Parvat or Mount Meru. Then in the evening, we went to a place called Ashtapada for better view of Kailas Parvat. And till Ashtapada, you can see that the vehicle can come and you can have a look without doing any trekking or walking. Coming to the point, why Kailas is sacred for Hindus? Friends, normally in front of Shivalinga, you can see normally a bull or Nandi in front of that. Similarly, in front of Kailas mountain, there is a small hillock which is called as Nandi or bull. It looks like a bull in front of Shivalinga. That's one reason. When we do the parikrama, we start from Yamadwar, go towards north to Derapuk, then Datak, and we come back to Jiturpuk and complete the parikrama. When you see from south or Ashtapada, it looks like the face of the Shiva with his jata or hair let loose. That's another reason why it is sacred for us, and it looks like Shiva letting his hair loose. We start the parikrama from Yamadwar. Why it is called Yamadwar? Because it is called Yamadwar because many a time, almost 2% of the people, due to breathlessness and hypoxia, they cannot complete the parikrama, and also they cannot make it. Many deaths do happen in this. Even I saw 2 during my 3 days during my parikrama here. So it's customary to pass through this Yamadwar, and you are supposed to have gone to the sacred heaven. So we leave behind Yamadwar and start the parikrama as if we are entering the heaven. So we start the parikrama from Yamadwar. From Yamadwar, if you see, closely if you see, it looks like the third eye of Shiva. So I am zooming and showing the same picture. It appears like the two eyes and the third eye of Shiva. That is another reason why it is sacred for we Hindus. Then from Yamadwar to Derapuk, it's about 11 kilometers of trek. We start in the morning and reach Derapuk in the evening. This is the northern point of our trekking or during the parikrama. From Derapuk, if you see Kailas Parvat, the top of the Kailas Parvat, because of the wind, the snow also has formed a hood. That hood looks like the hood of a cobra. As you all know, over the Shivalinga, there is always there is a cobra which is guarding on top of that. So it looks like that. That is another reason why Kailas is sacred for we all Hindus. And when you look from satellite, it looks like it's a Shivalinga in the Yoni. Again, this is another reason why it is sacred. So from Derapuk, we have to do trekking of 22 kilometers on the second day. This is the most difficult part of the trek. We started at around 5:30 in the morning until about 6:30 in the evening. I was walking. So we reached the highest point of 18,600 feet where the oxygen is very, very less. This is Dolma Pass. Even my own pulse ox saturation was 67%, but 67% we still are able to manage only because we are all acclimatized to low oxygen saturation level. And as you can see that around 20,000 feet height, there is only partial pressure of 40% of oxygen at that height. So at sea level, there is 260 millimeters of barometric pressure and 100% of oxygen, whereas at 2,000 feet, it is less than 350 millimeter barometric pressure and only less than 40% of oxygen in that air. So that is the very, very important, and we have to gradually get acclimatized, then only we should do the trekking. There is a Gauri Count near Dolma Pass. Then at the end of the day, we came to a place called Jiturpuk where we stayed. This is our hotel where we stayed. Then our group had 34 people and 31 of us completed the parikrama. Then we went to Kathmandu back and we went to Pashupatinath.
कनक समेश कैलास वास विश्वेश्वराय नमो कनक समेश कैलास वास विश्वेश्वराय नमो गौरी प्रियाय कालांतकाय ज्योतिर्मयाय नमो गौरी प्रियाय कालांतकाय ज्योतिर्मयाय नमो ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः गीत प्रियाय नमो चरमाम्बराय नेत्रत्रयाय गीत प्रियाय नमो ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय नमो ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय नमो ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय नमो ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय नमो ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय नमो ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय नमो ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय नमो ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय ओम नमः शिवाय नमो ओम नमः शिवाय.
This is the video taken of Kailas Parvat from Derapuk, that northernmost part, while doing parikrama. This is taken early in the morning, though it is not taken by me, but it is taken by one of our friend who went 4 years prior to me to this place.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Thank you very much.
Shown us the different aspect of your life. As such, we always knew you as a best possible orthopedic surgeon, best possible teacher, best possible motivator, but this is something different what you have learned from you. And it's now for our president and secretary, sir. Naturally, we had lots of panelists and we have Dr. Rajivan and etc. You can always ask Dr. Shiva about your feeling as such.
Actually, our honorary secretary, sir, respectable secretary, sir, Dr. Madhusudan wanted to ask a question to Dr. Shiv Shankar, sir.
Yes,
Dr.
definitely.
Madhusudan.
Sir, we are very pleased to know about your life, sir. But my
Thank you.
question is to you, what is your message toward the new generation, our new generation? You know, sir, our new generation, youngsters are the bright future of our association. They are very energetic, they are very dynamic, but they are very struggling for their career. So please give your message for them.
Yes. See, few things are very, very important. We are orthopedic surgeons, but don't look towards specialty from day one when you are doing your post-graduation itself. You have to be basically a general orthopedic surgeon. Then you look at your interest and then develop that specialty. What is happening today is people look themselves as orthoplasty surgeon, they want to be a spine surgeon, and they neglect other aspects of the trauma and other areas. So you should be a good orthopedic surgeon, traumatologist first, then you should become a specialist. That is the advice to my all people, junior people who are watching. Second thing is, in life, orthopedics is not the only thing in your life, because many a time we toil in our young age, we miss the company of our children when they are growing up. We are just worried about our own patients 24/7. I have told since 1996, I have been closing my hospital during the weekends, attending so many conferences across India, and it is possible. So if you are not there, there is somebody else to fill in your shoes. But for your family, you are a husband, you are a father for your children, you are a son for your parents. So don't miss the opportunity to spend quality time with them, and don't give precedence to your job 100%. Yes, it is very important because we are here only because we are orthopedic surgeons. Yes, but it is not the sole thing we should think 24/7. Lastly, don't bring hospital to home. So you should be like Dr. Amulya, only Dr. Amulya at hospital. When he is at home, he is either papa or husband or son, not Dr. Amulya. This is my advice to young people. Yes.
Thank you for sharing such insights from your life, sir.
Next.
It was a wonderful, mind-blowing, and beyond imagination presentation. I appreciate your zeal, passion, and leadership skill. Really, you are not simple man. You are a superman, and we salute you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shiva sir, for motivating all of us today. I thanks each and everyone for you for making the program today huge success. In this time of hardship, BOA conducting this program to spread positivity and motivate everyone towards the life. With a hope, I would like to say that soon everything will get back to the normal. Together we will prevail over this situation. Stay safe, stay home. Thank you everyone. Very nice program, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir. इतना अच्छा हम लोगों ने नहीं देखा था सर, और सुना सोचा भी नहीं था सर. एक डिफरेंट चीज, हमेशा वेबिनार वी वर अटेंडिंग एंड वी वर लिसनिंग लॉट्स ऑफ गुड साइंटिफिक वर्क्स, but something a different aspect of society from a doctor. So over from our side as a moderator, me and Abhishek, now it's all to Dr. Samshul Huda.
Yes.
Thank you, Mula sir. Thanks, Shiva sir, for coming
Thank
us
you,
and
thank
blessing
you,
us
thank
and
you.
being a real inspiration for all the youngsters, all our generations in academics and in fitness, sir.
Yes.
I'm a fitness pro, but you are a real inspiration for me, sir. Thank you, sir. With this,
Thank you.
we are ending this session, sir. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank